I got laid off on a Tuesday at 9:12 a.m. Not fired, not performance. Just that clean corporate phrasing HR loves because it doesn't leave fingerprints. Role elimination, my manager said, eyes fixed on the corner of his laptop like it might save him. He didn't look happy. He looked relieved, like he'd been told to pull a lever and didn't want to think about what it dropped. HR slid a packet across the table. Severance. Return checklist. A paragraph about confidentiality that felt longer than the rest of my career there. They offered 2 months of pay and a line that stuck with me. Your access will be terminated immediately after this meeting. I nodded like a professional. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I didn't make a scene. Because the truth is, layoffs happen. Companies cut headcount. Budgets shift. People get erased with a calendar invite, and I was tired. I took the cardboard box, the walk of shame past people who pretended not to see. The elevator ride where my reflection looked like someone else. By 10:03 a.m., I was in my car in the parking garage, staring at the steering wheel like it had answers. I called my wife on speaker, told her it happened. She said all the right things. We'll be okay. It's their loss. Come home. We'll talk. And for about 3 hours, I believed my life was just resetting. Then my phone vibrated. A push notification. Familiar icon. Blue shield. Approved sign-in. Location. Austin, TX device. Windows PC. I live in Chicago. I hadn't tried to sign into anything. I didn't even have my laptop anymore. I'd handed it back in that room like it was a contaminated object. I stared at the screen. There were 2 buttons. Approve and deny. My thumb hovered. My heartbeat didn't. I hit deny. The notification disappeared like it had never happened. I sat there for a second, breathing through my nose, telling myself it was probably a delayed attempt from the morning. Some system lag. Some cache token dying. Then my phone buzzed again. Approved sign-in. Location. Newark. NJ device. Unknown. I didn't blink this time. I hit deny so hard my thumb almost cramped. And then the 3rd one came. And the 4th. Different cities. Different devices. Same exact question. Approved sign-in. It felt like someone outside my car was pulling the handle over and over, smiling each time it didn't open. I opened the authentication app. Checked my account settings. Everything looked normal. No warning banner. No unusual activity detected. Just the prompts. Over and over. I did what any normal person would do. I called the company help desk number from memory. It rang twice and then went to a recorded message. This line is for active employees only. I tried the IT support email. It bounced back. I tried my old manager's number. Straight to voicemail. It was like the moment HR said terminated, I stopped being a person and became a problem nobody was allowed to touch. I sat in that garage watching my phone light up like a slot machine. Deny, deny, deny. And then, because life has a sense of timing that feels personal sometimes, the email hit my personal inbox. Sender, HR operations. Subject line, urgent, unauthorized access attempt. My throat went dry before I even opened it. The message was short, too polite, too confident. It said, "We are seeing multiple login attempts to company systems associated with your credentials after your termination. Please confirm in writing that you have ceased all access attempts. Continued activity may be treated as a security incident." I read it twice, then a 3rd time, because the part that made my stomach drop wasn't the threat. It was the assumption. They didn't ask if it was me. They wrote like they already decided it was, like they needed my name to fit into a report. I looked back at my notifications. Another prompt was waiting, buzzing like a heartbeat. Approve sign-in, location, San Jose. CA, I didn't approve. I denied. But I realized something right then, sitting in my car with a box of desk junk next to me. If those logs showed attempts from my account, and HR was already emailing me like I was guilty, it wasn't just someone trying to get into the company. It was someone trying to make it look like I tried. and the only thing standing between me and a security incident label was a phone screen I couldn't stop lighting up. I took a screenshot, then another. Then I started recording my screen, because I suddenly understood how this was going to end if I didn't, and I didn't know it yet. But that decision would cost them everything. By the time I pulled out of the garage, I had 23 screenshots and a 3-minute screen recording of my phone buzzing like it was possessed. I drove home with the radio off, one hand on the wheel and the other hovering over my phone like a bomb tech. Every time it lit up, approve sign in, I hit deny without thinking. Austin, Newark, San Jose, Miami, Denver. It wasn't random, it was steady, methodical. Like someone on the other end had a list of cities to cycle through. When I got home, my wife was waiting by the kitchen island with that worried look people get when they're trying not to scare you more. I put the box down, didn't even sit. "Something's wrong," I said and showed her the screen. She watched the prompts come in, watched me deny them, watched my hand shaking just enough to be noticeable. "That's your work?" she asked. "My work account," I said. "My name, my ID." Another prompt flashed. "Approve sign in? Location, Seattle, WA device, Linux." I hit deny and forced myself to breathe. "Call them," she said. I did. I pulled up the email from HR on my laptop and read it out loud. The words sounded worse when spoken. Continued activity may be treated as a security incident. My wife stared at me for a second like she was trying to find the joke. "But you're not doing it." "No," I said, "and they don't care." That's what hit me the hardest. Not the hacker, not the prompts. The fact that the company I'd spent 7 years at was already framing the story, without me in it. I replied to HR immediately, kept it short. Professional. Bullet points. I'm not attempting access. I have denied all 2FA prompts. I have screenshots and recordings. I request an immediate security review. Then I attached 5 screenshots, just enough to prove the pattern without flooding them. I hit send and waited. 10 minutes, nothing. 20, still nothing. And the prompts didn't stop. I opened the authentication app and went hunting for anything that looked like control. Sessions, devices, settings. There was a security tab that let me view registered devices. My phone was there, and something else. A device name I didn't recognize. It wasn't labeled unknown. It had a real-looking name, like it belonged. Desktop 7F3K2, Windows. Registered 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I was still employed. 2 days ago, I was still logging in every morning, trusting that the system was mine because my name was on it. I clicked into the details. It showed trusted device. My skin went cold. A trusted device doesn't trigger prompts like this unless someone is forcing sign-ins from somewhere else, or unless someone is trying to brute their way through, hoping for one mistake. I clicked Remove Device. It asked me for a password. I typed my password. Error. I tried again. Error. I tried resetting through the company portal out of instinct, then remembered I didn't have portal access anymore. I was locked out of my own identity. And yet my identity was still active enough to be attacked. That contradiction made me furious in a way I wasn't ready for. So I did the next thing that made sense. I called my former manager again, then his boss. Then the director I'd presented quarterly metrics to for 3 years. Nothing. Voicemail. Voicemail. Silence. I even tried texting my old teammate, Ben, the kind of guy who always knew what was happening before anyone else did. He replied after 5 minutes. "Don't involve me. It is freaking out. They're saying it's you." My throat tightened. "Why would they say that?" I typed back. He didn't answer. Another prompt hit my phone. Approve sign-in? Location, Chicago. IL device. Windows PC, Chicago. My city. That one felt like a message. Like whoever was doing it wanted me to see something that would make my mind spiral. Because now it wasn't a faraway city. Now it was close enough to feel like someone was sitting in a parking lot down the street. I denied it, but my hand lingered on the screen afterward, like my body didn't trust reality anymore. Then the second email arrived. This one wasn't HR operations. This one was from a compliance mailbox. Subject: security, incident, action required. It started polite and ended sharp. They wanted a signed statement confirming I had not retained company data. They wanted me to list every personal device I'd ever used for work. They wanted it within 2 hours. 2 hours. Like I was on their payroll. Like they were doing me a favor by not calling the police first. I read it twice, then looked at my wife. "They're trying to pin it on you," she said quietly. I didn't answer right away because something in me didn't want to admit she was right. Instead, I opened a new folder on my laptop. I named it Evidence, Screenshots, Screen Recordings, Emails, Timestamps, Call Logs, everything. Because I finally understood what this was turning into. Not a tech problem, a narrative. And if I didn't control it, they were going to write it without me. I started typing a reply to compliance. Calm, measured, very specific. And right as I hit attach on the next batch of screenshots, my phone buzzed again. But this time it wasn't a sign-in prompt. It was a text message. From a number I didn't recognize. Just 4 words. "Stop denying. We need in." I stared at that text message for a full 10 seconds. Like if I looked long enough, it would turn into something harmless. Stop denying. We need in. No greeting. No explanation. No attempt to sound legitimate. Just pressure. My wife read it over my shoulder and went pale. Who even talks like that? "Someone who thinks I'm trapped," I said. Another push notification hit immediately after, like they were watching me read. "Approve sign-in? Location, Chicago, IL device, Windows PC." I denied it, again. Then I did something I should have done earlier. I took my phone off Wi-Fi, switched to cellular, and put it on airplane mode for 5 seconds, just to break any active connection and force myself to breathe. When I turned it back on, the prompts came back within a minute. So it wasn't my network, it wasn't my router, it wasn't my laptop, it was my identity. I copied the unknown number into a lookup site and got a result that made my stomach tighten. It wasn't a normal mobile carrier. It was a VoIP provider, disposable, masked, the kind of number people use when they don't want to trace. I forwarded the text message to the compliance mailbox, then replied to it with one line, cold, deliberate. "Identify yourself. This is evidence now." No bluffing, no emotion, just a statement. Then I called my mobile carrier. I didn't say, "I think I'm being hacked." I said the specific phrases that get escalation: identity theft, targeted harassment, possible SIM transfer attempt. The rep's tone changed instantly. She put a note on my account, added a port-out lock, and set a new PIN that couldn't be reset with basic personal info. "Has anyone tried to move my number?" I asked. A pause. Keyboard clicks. "There was an attempt to validate account access earlier today," she said carefully. "It didn't complete." "Earlier today?" I repeated. It matched the timing. Right after the layoff meeting, right after my access terminated. Somebody had gone from my work records to my personal phone number fast enough to try a number transfer the same day. That's not a random hacker in a basement. That's someone with an org chart. When I hung up, I opened my laptop again, pulled up the screenshots, and built a timeline. Not just it happened, but when it happened in order, with timestamps. 9:12 a.m., layoff meeting, 10:05 first 2FA prompt, 1:47 HR email accusing continued activity, 4:18 compliance notice, 4:26 the VoIP text message. I wanted it to be messy, some IT glitch, some delayed sign-ins, but this was structured, and the more I looked at it, the uglier the logic became. They weren't trying to log in once. They were trying again and again across different locations because the point wasn't access. The point was pressure. They wanted me to slip, to approve once out of exhaustion or confusion. And if I did, every audit log would read like I chose it. I wrote a second email to compliance, longer this time. I kept the tone neutral, but I made it clear I understood what they were doing. I have denied all prompts. I have recordings and metadata. I have received coercive text messages from a VoIP number. I am filing a police report for identity fraud. I am requesting a legal hold on all authentication logs and help desk actions connected to my account and phone number. Then I added one sentence that changed the temperature. If my name is being used to access systems after termination, that indicates a breach, and any attempt to frame it as employee misconduct will be documented and addressed accordingly. I hit send. 5 minutes later, the compliance mailbox replied with a single line, "We will revert." No apology, no acknowledgement. Just, "We will revert." Like I was a ticket in a queue. My wife watched me stare at that email and said, "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking they already know," I said, "or they wouldn't be this calm." I needed a human inside the building, someone who could tell me whether this was real security panic or manufactured panic. There was one person I trusted. Maya. She used to sit 2 floors above me in security operations. Not a best friend, not a drinking buddy, just someone who had a spine and hated corporate theater. I hadn't talked to her in months, but I still had her number. She answered on the second ring, and before I could even say hello, she said, "If this is about the prompts, don't talk on speaker." "I'm not," I said. Silence. Then quieter. "How do you know about the prompts?" "Because your name is on a dashboard," she said. "And it's not the first time they've tried to hang something on someone who can't defend themselves." My throat tightened. "Maya, is this me? Did I do something without realizing?" "No," she said immediately. "This is not you." I exhaled so hard it almost hurt. She continued like she'd made a decision. "I can't email you anything, I can't send screenshots, but I can tell you what I saw long enough for you to write it down." "Tell me." "Your account's getting hammered with interactive sign-in attempts," she said. "But the weird part is the device trust entry." "The desktop," I said, "registered 2 days ago." "Exactly," she replied. "That device wasn't trusted by you. It was trusted by an admin action through the help desk console." My hands went cold again, meaning someone inside added it. "Yes," she said, "and the admin account that did it is not yours. It's a shared help desk credential." Shared. Of course it was shared. The kind of thing companies pretend they don't have until they need plausible deniability. I grabbed a pen and wrote down every word she said like it was a confession. She lowered her voice even more. "The attempts today are coming from a VPN pool we see all the time, one of the contractors. They use it for remote support. It's not suspicious on its own, which is why it's dangerous. It blends." "Why would a contractor be trying to log in as me?" Maya didn't answer for a second. Then she said, "Because the system logs will show your username, not theirs. And if the person behind this gets what they want, your name becomes the explanation for whatever they're about to pull." I swallowed. "What are they about to pull?" "I don't know," she said, "but I know the pattern. They need a fall guy before something breaks." She paused, then added, "You should assume they're not trying to steal your email. They're trying to steal what your access touched." And that line landed like a punch, because 2 weeks before my layoff, I'd been pulled into a rush request involving a client integration, something sensitive, something revenue critical. I'd flagged access issues. I'd asked who approved it. People got uncomfortable when I asked that. Now, sitting in my kitchen with my phone lighting up, I understood why. This wasn't a random attack after a layoff. The layoff was the setup. My wife looked at me and whispered, "What did she say?" I met her eyes and said the truth, plain and clean. Someone inside used a help desk admin to attach a trusted device to my account. Another prompt buzzed. I denied it without even looking. Then my phone chimed with a new email. Not from compliance, from legal. Subject, preservation. Notice. My pulse didn't spike, it dropped. Because a preservation notice means one thing. People with power just realize there's risk, and now they want the paper trail controlled. I opened it. It instructed me to preserve all records related to authentication events. communications and access attempts, and warned against public disclosure. My wife read the first paragraph and said, "They're scared." "They're not scared," I said. "They're trying to fence me in." I looked back at my evidence folder, screenshots, recordings, the VoIP text, the timeline, Maya's words written in ink, and I finally saw the whole shape of it. They weren't trying to ruin my reputation by accident. They were trying to build a clean story where my name could carry the blame, while someone else walked away with whatever they needed. And the worst part? If I'd approved just once, I would have handed them the ending they wanted. The next morning, I didn't wake up like a guy who needed time to process. I woke up like a guy who understood something ugly had started moving, and if I didn't move first, I'd be the one crushed underneath it. I didn't touch the coffee. I opened my laptop, created a clean timeline document, and wrote it like I was writing for someone who hated drama and loved timestamps. Layoff meeting. First prompt. HR accusation, compliance threat, VoIP text, preservation notice, Maya's call. Then I did 3 things in a row. Fast, boring, and real. I froze my credit. I filed an identity theft report. I filed a police report. The officer on the phone didn't sound shocked. He sounded tired. "What are you asking for?" he said. "A case number," I replied. "So when they pretend this is just an HR issue, it isn't." He gave me one. I wrote it at the top of my timeline in bold. Then I called an employment attorney my neighbor had used after a retaliatory termination. I wasn't asking for revenge yet. I was asking for oxygen. I explained the situation in 12 sentences, sent him my evidence folder, and waited while he reviewed it. When he came back on the line, his voice had shifted into that careful legal tone that means someone's already thinking about liability. "Do not talk to anyone at the company by phone," he said. "Email only. And stop responding emotionally. Your job now is documentation." "I haven't been emotional," I said. He gave a short laugh. "Good. Keep it that way. Also, this preservation notice, it's not for your benefit. It's for theirs." That made my jaw tighten. He drafted a formal letter on his letterhead and sent it to their legal and compliance addresses. It wasn't long, but it was sharp. I deny any unauthorized access attempts. I have evidence of coercion and impersonation. I have an active police report and case number. I demand a legal hold on authentication logs, help desk console actions, device trust events, and contractor VPN activity. Any further attempt to attribute access to me after termination will be treated as defamation and retaliation. Then he added one line that felt like a door slamming. "All future communications shall be directed to counsel." I watched the email send and felt my shoulders drop for the first time in 2 days. Not relief, just structure. Because up until that moment, I'd been one guy with a buzzing phone arguing with a faceless corporation. Now there was a boundary, and corporations understand boundaries only when they come with risk. Around noon, the 2FA prompts stop, not slowed down, stop. Dead silence. For 30 minutes, my phone stayed dark, and that quiet made my stomach twist. More than the buzzing ever did, because silence is never peace when you're being targeted. Silence is repositioning. At 12:47 p.m., my phone rang. Block number. I didn't answer. It rang again. Then my wife's phone rang, same block number. Then my attorney texted me, "Do not pick up, let them write." 5 minutes later, an email came in from a name I recognized. Director, Information Security. Not HR, not compliance, not legal. Security. The message was polite, too polite for what it implied. "We are investigating abnormal authentication activity associated with your credentials. We request your cooperation to resolve this incident as quickly as possible." Cooperation. Like I was part of their response team. Like I hadn't been erased from the building 2 days earlier. Then the second email arrived, same sender, 2 minutes later. "If you receive any additional prompts, please approve the next one and notify us immediately. This will help us confirm the source." I stared at it. My wife read it and whispered, "They want you to approve it." "Yeah," I said. "They want a clean audit trail." Because if I approved even once, the story becomes easy. Employee accessed systems post-termination. Employee admitted it. Employee cooperated. I forwarded both emails to my attorney without adding a word. His reply came back almost instantly. "Absolutely not. They are attempting to manufacture consent." Then he wrote the response for me. One paragraph. No anger. No debate. I will not approve any authentication prompts. I have documented coercive messages requesting approval. I have an active police report, case number included. I request all inquiries in writing. I renew the demand for a complete legal hold and an independent investigation. I hit send, and then the chaos started. My former manager emailed me, first time since the layoff. Subject, need to talk ASAP. My old director followed. Subject, please call me. Then HR. Subject, clarification required. 3 emails in 10 minutes from people who couldn't look me in the eye when they cut me loose. My wife watched the inbox fill and said, "Why now?" I didn't answer right away because I was scanning the language. None of them said, "Are you okay?" None of them said, "We believe you." They all sounded like people trying to contain a spill. Then Maya texted me one sentence. "They just locked the shared help desk account. That means audit started." My pulse jumped, because you don't lock a shared admin credential unless you're afraid of what it did. And if they were auditing it, it meant somebody had finally asked the question they'd avoided for 2 days. Who registered that trusted device? My attorney told me to do one more thing, and it felt almost too simple for how heavy this had gotten. Use their ethics hotline, he said, not because you trust it, because it creates a second record outside HR's script. So I did. I filed a report with their third-party hotline using only facts. My account was targeted post-termination. A trusted device was added without my action. I received a coercive VoIP text instructing me to approve access. The company attempted to instruct me to approve a prompt. I have a police report and preserved evidence. I didn't accuse a person by name. I accused a process, and a process can't sue you back. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with a calendar invite. From security. Title: Incident Review. Former Employee Access. They were trying to put me in a room, virtually sure, but still inside their frame. I declined it. My attorney replied in writing, "We will not participate in calls. Provide questions in writing." 10 minutes later, the security director emailed again. The tone had changed. Less friendly, more urgent. "We have reason to believe systems accessed by your account may contain regulated client data." There it was. The real reason. Not cooperation, not resolve quickly. They were afraid my name was about to show up next to something that would trigger outside reporting. Client notification, breach protocol, regulator involvement. And that's when the anger in my chest finally stopped being heat and turned into clarity. Because if they were invoking regulated client data, then somebody inside had been using my identity as cover for something that could ruin careers. And they were only coming to me now because my evidence folder and that police case number made it harder to use me quietly. I forwarded the email to my attorney. Then I opened my timeline again and added a new line. 2:16 p.m. Security escalates to regulated client data. And right as I saved it, Maya called. Her voice was tight, controlled. "They made a mistake," she said. "What kind of mistake?" "They pulled the admin action logs," she replied. "The trusted device entry. It has a ticket number attached." "A ticket number?" "Yes," she said. "And the ticket wasn't created by IT. It was created by someone in your department." I didn't speak. I just felt my stomach drop as the pieces slid into place. Because if someone in my department initiated the request that led to a help desk admin, attaching a trusted device to my account, then this wasn't a faceless company problem. This was a person problem. A person who knew exactly what my access could touch. Maya exhaled once, sharp, And you're going to recognize the name tied to that ticket, she said. Then she told me who it was. Maya said the name once, and it didn't feel real, not at first, because my brain refused to put that name next to something this calculated. It was Derek, my team lead, the guy who'd told me my layoff wasn't personal, the guy who'd asked me 2 weeks earlier to move fast on that rushed client integration and stop overthinking access friction. I didn't speak for a few seconds. I just stared at my kitchen counter, like the grain of the wood might rearrange itself into a different answer. "You're sure?" I finally asked. "I'm sure about what the log shows," Maya said. "Ticket created under his name. Same timestamp as the trusted device registration. After that, everything else becomes easier to do without it looking like him." I felt something in my chest crack. Not sadness, not rage. Recognition, because Derek had motive and not the cinematic kind, the boring kind that ruins real people. Pressure, bonuses, deadlines, ego, and the need for a fall guy. "Why me?" I asked. Maya's voice turned flat. "Because you had the access map. You knew where the client data lived. You asked questions. And after yesterday, you were gone. Perfect story." When the call ended, I didn't pace. I didn't slam anything. I opened my timeline and added one line, carefully. Trusted device registration correlated to ticket created by Derek time. No accusations, just a fact placeholder. Then I called my attorney and told him what Maya said. He didn't get excited. He got precise. "Do not write his name to anyone as an allegation," he said. "We let them produce it themselves. You already have enough to force an audit. If they're doing the audit, the truth will arrive in their own handwriting." That afternoon, Legal finally sent something useful. A list of written questions. They were trying to build a narrative, but now they had to do it on paper. And paper doesn't move as fast as intimidation. My attorney answered every question with the same structure. I did not attempt access. I denied all prompts. I received coercive instruction to approve access. I reported it, documented it, and filed a police report. I demand confirmation in writing that the company will cease implying misconduct. We attached a clean evidence bundle, screenshots with timestamps, screen recording of repeated prompts, HR and compliance emails, the VoIP text message, the police report, case number proof of carrier. Port out lock attempt. We didn't argue about motives. We didn't speculate about Derek. We didn't explain their own system to them. We simply proved I was being used. 2 days later, the company requested another meeting. We declined again. My attorney responded, written only. That's when the tone changed completely. Not softer, more careful. Security emailed with a short statement. "We have identified administrative actions inconsistent with standard process and are continuing our investigation. You are not required to take further action at this time." That sentence did more for my blood pressure than any apology would have, because it meant they'd reached the point where denial was riskier than truth. An hour later, HR sent a new message, same thread where they'd implied I was a security incident. Subject, correction. It read, "To clarify, we are not asserting that you initiated unauthorized access attempts. We apologize for any confusion created by earlier communications." Confusion. That's what they called 2 days of trying to make me sign my own blame. But I didn't need them to name it properly. I needed them to put it in writing. Then came the real turn. A week after my layoff, my attorney got an email from legal with an attachment titled Mutual Separation Agreement, Revised. They weren't offering the original 2 months anymore. They offered 6 months, severance full payout, of unused PTO reimbursement of legal fees, up to a specified cap, a neutral reference letter stating I was laid off due to restructuring, a written statement that the company found no evidence of misconduct by me removal of a clause that would have restricted me from cooperating with law enforcement. That last part mattered more than the money, because it told me something else had happened internally. Companies don't loosen control unless control is already failing. My attorney negotiated 2 changes. The written exoneration had to be explicit, not vague. The agreement could not include any language that implied I contributed to the incident by refusing to approve prompts, legal accepted. 2 days after that, Maya texted me from a burner app message that auto-deleted. Just one line. Derek was walked out. Contractor access suspended. Incident reported to client security. No celebration, no gossip, just the consequences. And that was when the last piece clicked into place for me. They hadn't wanted me to approve a 2FA prompt because they needed my help. They wanted me to approve it because they needed my consent in the logs. Because once Derek's ticket tied him to that trusted device registration, the rest of the story became impossible to defend. Someone inside initiated the setup, a shared help desk credential, executed it contractor VPN, blended the source, and my username was the mask. But I never gave them the final stroke of paint. I never approved. So when the investigation reached its end, there was nowhere for the blame to sit except where it belonged. A month later, the police detective assigned to my report called me back. He didn't give details. He didn't need to. He asked one question. Are you willing to provide your documentation if we request it formally? Yes, I said. He paused, then added, You did the right thing by documenting early. When I hung up, I sat in the same kitchen where all of this started and felt something close to calm. Not because I won, because the story ended clean. No loose ends, no mystery man, no magical intervention, just cause and effect. A company tried to turn me into a convenient explanation. A coworker tried to hide behind my name. And I did the only thing that works in the real world. I kept receipts. I created a timeline. I forced everything onto paper. The last time I opened the authentication app, it was quiet. No prompts. No buzzing. No late-night door handle rattle. Just my phone, finally acting like a phone again. My wife asked me, Do you feel better? I thought about it and said the truth. I feel finished. Because revenge isn't screaming in a hallway. It's refusing to sign the lie. It's making sure the logs tell the truth even when people don't. And when they tried to use my name as cover, I made it the spotlight.